Yeah, thanks, Vanessa. That's a great question. And I think that, in the first instance, what we need to recognize is that just a few years ago, there were no African unicorns at all, right? So the first step was just, can we get some wins on the board, which we've done, right? And you see organizations like Flutterwave are sitting out there, Chip for Cash, etc. They're waving the flag. So that's step number one. And I think where you're going now is to say, well, we're seeing some wins on the board, these huge companies, and just to define unicorn status for everyone, that's $1 billion valuation, right? And it means that you've built a company that's super innovative, that is super high growth. And now the question is, how do we get some women-led businesses on that board? And I think, taking a step back, people might also ask, why do we need that? Like, isn't it enough that women are building businesses as long as they're profitable? Why do they need to be unicorns? And I would just start by saying that it's important because those types of big businesses are solving problems which matter, right? And if the people building those types of solutions only come from one demographic, certain problems might not be addressed. So an example that I've given, in this instance is, if you look at a business like Life Bank in Nigeria, which is founded and led by a woman, Temi. She started out really addressing the issue of maternal mortality, which is extremely high on the African continent, right? And we really want to have more of those types of businesses, solving big issues on the continent. So it's important that women get the wins on the board. So I think in terms of, what strategies do you employ? I think the number one thing is to do a self-audit, right? Because building a unicorn business is not all about what you see on LinkedIn. It's a long and arduous journey. And in the African context, you're signing up for, a 10, potentially 15-year journey to get there. And so you need to know, how are you going to arrange your life so that you can make that type of commitment, right? You might need to pivot along the way. There's a lot in there. And I think that, you'll need to keep going back to the reasons why you were willing to do that in the first place. The second thing is, you need to make sure that whatever problem you're solving, you're leaning into really big numbers, right? How many people have this problem who are willing to pay? The willing to pay part is really important for the solution. And so, this applies even if you're a man. But I think for women, it's super important to look for that white space. Are the numbers big enough here? Will the people be willing to pay? Is there some depth in here? And then the last thing that I think you need to have in your arsenal is really investing in your own, what I would call personal capitals, before you go out there asking for big checks, right? And so what are these personal capitals? The first for me is really your social capital. Because if you're going to build a big business, you're going to people need to want to work for you and with you, right? So it involves AI, who are the leading AI people who will come and work with you, right? So you need to be building that network from when you're in varsity, really. It's a long play, right? When you're in the corporate environment, whatever. And then I think also, people don't talk about this enough, is what is your own financial standing when you start that journey, right? It's a little bit like, when people look at these high-level internships and say, but why is it always those kids who get to go? It's because the internship is unpaid, so you have to have some money to be able to do it, right? And it's the same with entrepreneurship, is, you need to get your coins in order, as they say, so that, especially in the initial stages, so that you can get some traction. And then the last bit, I think, is really just investing in your own confidence as a capital, right? So that you can push back when people try to make you prove it again, so that you can be, inured in a way to rejection, because there'll be a lot of it. So I think those are the things, and maybe they're unexpected, but I think before you enter this, kind of, I want to build a unicorn, things to look at.